Well, good morning. It's Happy Wednesday here at the Corona Chamber of Commerce. My name is Bobby Spiegel. I want to welcome each and every one of you that are plugging in live, as well as those that are going to be tuning in at a later date. We offer this educational and advocacy outreach update every single Wednesday. So at 10 o'clock Pacific time, please log on to our Zoom call and you can be part of the action going on here. As well, for those that are looking at this at a later date, please know that there's a lot of information and some is very timely and we're asking you to take action immediately. And there's other things though that you'll be able to utilize for down the road. So with that, I want to introduce our chair for our advocacy outreach. It's a gentleman that served in our state assembly. He worked with many business leaders and he worked with both sides of the aisle. And what I mean by that, for those that may not be familiar with that terminology, usually there's differences of opinions up in Sacramento and people tend to stay on their party line. Jeff Miller has been someone that has been able to work with everyone. And what he does is he tries to encourage people to look at common sense legislation. When he was our assembly member, when he was our local mayor here in the city of Corona and on our city council, these were things that were near and dear to his heart. He realizes that each of you, as you are an employer and you're employing people, creating jobs for people, giving them the opportunity to make a livelihood, it's difficult. It's difficult to run your business on a daily basis. And Jeff was one of those individuals that was very unique to be able to encourage all people to be looking at what's best for business. With that, I'm going to turn it over to him. He is our chair for this talk today, as well for the entire year. Please welcome our advocacy chair, Jeff Miller.
Thank you, Bobby. Good morning, everybody. We'll get right into it. Today's business meeting is sponsored by Megan's Organic Market, aka Mom. It's a 100% women-owned company. Their mission is to redefine society's relationship with cannabis through responsible stewardship. They continue to seek market opportunities to improve the health of others and community through education, awareness, and access to sustainable, high-quality cannabis products. Thank you, Megan's Organic Market, Mom, for sponsoring this meeting. As a reminder, there's a little chat button on the bottom. If you have any questions, feel free to just click on the chat, and we'll be able to answer your questions. With that, before I throw it back to Bobby, I just want to just ask our chair, Paul Bender, if she'd like to say a few words.
Good morning. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I just would like to encourage everybody to attend Good Morning Corona this Friday. I believe that it's not too late to get tickets. We're talking about legislation and pro-business legislation every week, or anti-business. And as you know, we rely upon our elected officials and politicians, both in Sacramento and locally, to help us continue with an environment that will enable us to stay in business and thrive in business. So I encourage you all to attend on Friday. And if you have any questions, I know, Jeff, you may talk about this later, but Jeff will be facilitating that for us, and he is happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul Bender. I would just highlight that. If anybody has anything they'd like to ask, please email or text them to me. Or if you want me to contact you, just put your contact in the chat and I'll get in touch with you. But yeah, if there's any questions that's pertinent to your business or our businesses, feel free to ask. Now I'd like to just throw it over to Bobby for some quick updates.
Sure. Thank you so much, Jeff. And again, this Friday, we have our Good Morning Corona, but I wanted to talk about the Loyalty Zone Survey. We've contracted, our Chamber of Commerce has contracted with a company that will be randomly outreaching to various members of our chamber and asking some pertinent questions. And it's a way for us to do a better planning and structuring for the future to ensure that we're answering and serving you as our members and our constituents. So You may be called by a company by the name of Loyalty Zone. And if so, please know that it is legit. All of our members, the main rep will be receiving a letter this week confirming this, so that you're on notice of that. And it's, again, just a quick survey. It'll be about 5 minutes. It is a phone call, and we just want to make sure that we can utilize this opportunity for us to grow and improve. Our next slide that I'd like to promote is what Paul Bender was talking about, was Friday, May 20th, our Good Morning Corona event. We have 3 people that are seeking the seat of our new assembly district. And as she stated, Jeff Miller will be moderating that. We're looking for questions. Feel free to shoot those on over to us. We'd love for you to attend in person. It is a 6:30 in the morning attendance, and we start right at 7 o'clock. A lot of great information. We also will have a lot of new members being introduced, and many of them on milestone anniversaries. So there's a lot of information that will be shared that day. We encourage you to be there, and we appreciate all of you for your participation. And speaking of participation, Memorial Day weekend is just around the corner, and there's a lot of things happening, and we want to kick it off with our Twilight celebration. That is on Thursday night prior to Memorial Day, and there will be a dinner. There'll be opportunity prizes, silent auction, but the main thing is the entertainment. We have a night of comedy and magic, and it is going to be a lot of fun. Tickets right now are available at $75 per person, or if you want to reserve a table of 10, you can purchase that for $700. However, today is the deadline for the purchasing, because we have to call in our numbers to make sure that we have the proper food. It's going to be an awesome evening, so if you can make it, feel free to get a table. Perhaps even look at some of your vendors, maybe some of your customers, invite them to come have a good time. Our next slide that we're going to put up is about our June 1st webinar with Richard Luang, and that will be at 10 o'clock. That is instead of our call on June 1st. All of us, not all of us, but many of us will be up in Sacramento on our legislative trip. And so that day we're putting together a webinar for those that would like to plug in. There is a program called the ERC, Employee Retention Credit. This is available for every employer, and there's some money that's available that you'd be silly not to at least learn how to obtain that and get qualified to apply and get a refund on that. With that, I just want to again say thank you to all of you that are plugging in and that are on the call today. And I'm going to turn it back over to Jeff.
Great. Thank you, Bobby. Let's get right into the meat of the matter. We're doing good on time today. So I'm probably going to, after Jeff's presentation, if any of the colleges want to give a quick update, I'll probably go to Linda or Sam to give a quick update on the hospital, what's going on in the hospital. I'll get to you after Jeff's presentation. So Jeff is our legislative consultant. For 35 years, he has specialized in political consulting, legislative work, public affairs, and government relations. He has specialized in areas of housing and transportation and energy, and does just a phenomenal job. He'll be leading the chamber on the Sacramento trip, and I know we've got 18 folks signed up for it that are really, really excited to go to Sacramento and see how the sausage is made. Jeff Gibson.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? So I know a lot of times, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but a lot of times I don't bring terribly good news to this call and to our work. And I recognize that I don't want to be a downer every single time that you see my smiling face. So we have had a very good run of success this year with the legislature. And so I thought mid-session, we could take a moment and go over a couple things, because we are in some very serious fights as well. And so with that, I'd like to discuss AB 2932, which, as you have spent time on the call with us, was originally billed. It's by Assemblymember Evan Lowe, Democrat from Campbell. It was billed as a 4-day work week, and this was going to be fantastic. In reality, it was a 25% mandatory wage increase for every wage worker in the state of California. It was roundly, almost every employer group in the state came out against it, and it was defeated in committee. So that is we count that as a win in our business here of trying to defend you. So that's a huge win to push it aside early so that it doesn't potentially become part of other bills. That's one of the things, and Jeff can the other Jeff Miller can attest to a bill is a bad idea is never really dead. It could show up as an amendment. It could show up in the budget. It could show up as long as the legislature is together. I don't know how many of us out there have known a group of 120 people to always come up with the best ideas. So that's something that we have to be very wary of. But for now, actually, it looks like we're in pretty good shape. Excuse me for 1 second. Then we're going on to SB 1301, which started life as a very punitive bill. It was labeled as a job killer by the California Chamber of Commerce. It was opposed immediately by us, and it's by Senator Becker from Democrat from Menlo Park. And the senator has climate change goals that they're trying to see achieved. And to their credit, to the staff's credit, they were willing to speak with business groups. That is not always the case, but worked on an amendment, on a series of amendments on the bill, and the bill has actually flopped. This is not so rare as to call it unusual, but it is a very positive development, and it's something that we used to see quite a lot of. As somebody would put in a bill, would meet with the opposition, would find out, well, our goals really aren't that far apart if you changed the direction that your legislation is taking. And so a bill that went from a very regulatory heavy response, which I think all of us, no matter what our parties are, can recognize on the call, regulation means fewer jobs. That is, there's almost a 1-for-1 exchange. If you increase the regulation on a business at this point in human history, we can point back to the 30s or to the 1860s or to another point in history where regulation is responsible for a lot of the great things that we've done. At this point, living in California in 2022, additional regulation on how we explore and produce energy is going to cost jobs. And that was not the intent of the senator. The intent was to do so in a way that is more climate sensitive and continues to increase the ability of our state to produce the cleanest gas, oil, and energy in the world. And that's precisely what we do here in California. And we should be very proud of that. And so the bill has been changed. It is now a 10% tax credit for any investment in this field that achieves climate goals, which is a very, very good piece of legislation to support and so we have now changed our position, along with almost all the business advocates in the state, from a complete opposition to a support position. So that's very good. Anthony, is it possible for you to put the AB 2840 letter on the?
Yes, 1 second.
Okay, thank you. Round of applause, everybody, for Anthony. You're doing a great job.
Applause. No applause.
No matter what Jeff Miller says, you really are doing a great job.
Thank you.
That's the
So-
good cop, bad cop thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the other Jeff that's the problem. So
Exactly.
AB
Thank
2840 by Assembly Majority Leader Reyes, Democrat from San Bernardino. We have spoken about several different times. I wanted to show you what floor alerts look like. And if you look about 2/3 of the way down that page there, Anthony, if you could circle it with your cursor so we can see a little bit more, there is a bright, shining big C of the Corona Chamber of Commerce. AB 2840, which we've spoken about, would eliminate the ability of distribution centers to be built within 1,000 feet of almost any government facility, including prisons. And so what you would end up doing is you would end up sending distribution centers for just things that we order on a daily basis, either outside the state or further and further out into the hinterlands. And that doesn't achieve any of the goals that we're trying to get to, or any of the goals, frankly, that the author and majority leader are promising that they want to see. So this is in every single member's package right now on the floor of the assembly, and they can pay attention to it if they want to, or if they don't. In this bill, and one of the things that Jeff, again, I don't want to speak for him, one of the things that he would tell you is that members do not read. If there's a number of different times when groups show up in Sacramento and they have very carefully prepared positions on hundreds of pieces of legislation, and they very gently put those in to well-organized binders, and they deliver them to staff, which takes those positions, throws them in the trash, and you reuses the binders for other purposes. Floor alerts like this on major bills do get read, and this is why we participate on major bills. And we take an approach, instead of throwing out a wide net and taking a position on 1,400 pieces of legislation, we focus in on specifically the bills that threaten your business or offer opportunities for your business to succeed today. So if you cannot run a distribution center as the home of the two largest ports in North America, which this bill interrupts the operation of nearly any future distribution center, then that is going to cost hundreds of thousands of jobs immediately. That is, this industry is pretty flexible, and it will move if necessary. And it takes away the infrastructure advantages that our state has. So in any case, happy to answer any questions on these two pieces of legislation, or these three pieces of legislation, or any other questions that you may have.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff. There are no questions in the chat.
Okay.
Jeff, sorry to interrupt. Jeff, Mr. Miller, could we cover AB or SB 1162, the bill that we talked about last week or by email on staffing companies and clients?
Yeah.
Sure. So I had
to go over it?
Yeah, if you want to hold on for 1 second, AB 1162, we have a position of oppose on that. We've been working on it from an opposed position. And it is currently going through, I believe, if you want to hold on 1 second, I think I even may have that. I will get the exact position of the bill and in the process. So if you'd like to, as I'm pulling this up real quick, Paul Bender, if you want to give your experience with the bill, I'm happy to speak to it.
Okay, great. It's a very Well, it's very extremely damaging for my business, which is a staffing company. And Brad West, I'm so glad you're on the call. I have yet to reach out. I'm going to email a letter to you today. But this bill basically would require both staffing agencies and their company clients to notify or let all current employees know of internal job openings at least 5 days before filling a position, so that you couldn't just give a job order to a staffing company without running it past all internal employees. This came up before last year and was defeated. It also, this is really difficult, but it requires us to report temporary employees' annual pay data by race, ethnicity, and gender, and also requires our clients to submit separate reports covering those employees that staffing companies provide to them. And those reports would have to be made public and published on a state agency website. And then it also requires staffing companies to provide every temporary job applicant a pay scale or a salary range in all job postings. Now, if any of you are familiar with staffing companies, we often recruit people in a broad way. They can come to us. It's been one of the strengths we have. And then we look at appropriate job openings for them that fit their skills and experience. And things, as you know right now, there are just not enough employees to go around. There's a huge job shortage, 11.5 million job openings that aren't being filled in this country. And this is an added barrier. Plus a kind of a death knell to our industry, where we help companies sometimes fill a job for the next day or sometimes same day as well. So I'm really concerned about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, this has come up before. The reason that the state legislature is interested or considering doing a registry by race, ethnicity, etc., is specifically for private attorney general actions, which mean that any decision that you would make would now be available to be sued in a staffing decision. And independent of, you have done everything you can to make sure that your employees are a diverse group, because diversity helps in a lot of different ways. But for whatever reason, the last 10 hires have not been diverse enough in someone else's opinion. It could open you up to being sued either by current or former employees for a number of different purposes. So the bill is just a liability factory on top of making it very difficult to staff. It has job killer status with the California Chamber of Commerce. It's opposed by several hundred business groups. It's up for hearing tomorrow to get off of to get out of the Appropriations Committee, where it's been stuck for the last several days. I would presume it possibly could get out, but that would be one of every test that it's going through now makes it more difficult for the bill to pass. So this is really the time that we are working hard to oppose. So make sure that you reach out to Senator Roth and Assemblymember Cervantes about the positioning on this bill, because it isn't just a staffing issue. So it's all, everything wrapped up. And sorry, Jeff, if I stole your thunder.
No, Paul Bender and I have talked about this, and my first question to her was, what is the industry's presence in Sacramento? It's so important to have a voice up there, and unfortunately or fortunately, the bigger voices get heard. And if you're not an advocate and you don't advocate for your position, you get steamrolled, and there's not much you can do. So that's why I think the work that we do here at the chamber, you see how many coalitions we partner with to take positions on bills. It's a strong, big, powerful voice. And so you'll get a taste of that when some of you go up to Sacramento in a few days. There was a question on SB 1162 from Vadim that adds a lot of reporting requirements on businesses to more paperwork. So I looked at that bill real quick while Jeff was talking, and that bill has been moved to the suspense file, which essentially it's dead as it is dead. It'll move to a hearing tomorrow in appropriations, where the appropriations committee can move it off suspense. But my experience has been that there's been very few bills that actually move off suspense when they get that far down the road. So we'll keep a close eye on it, but for now, I think it's going to be it's going to at least go away in its current form. All right. Any other questions, Anthony?
There are no other questions.
Okay, Jeff, you got anything else?
That's it.
If anybody wants a sample letter on a particular bill, just email me and I'll send one to you. I have sample opposition letters. I have sample amend letters. I have sample support letters. And then you can take those letters, formulate them into your own words, put them on your letterhead, and send it to our representatives, either the bill author or our current state assembly member or senator. So just let me know, and I'll have a few of those on Friday if anybody wants some. Okay, all right, let's move on. I'm going to throw it over to Brad in Assembly Member Sabrina Cervantes' office, and then I'm going to any of the colleges, hospital, or City of Hope want to give a quick update. We're good on time. We got a few minutes. Feel free to jump on after Brad. Go ahead, Brad.
All right, good morning, everybody. So once again, my name is Brad West. I'm with Assembly Member Sabrina Cervantes' office, and I have two things to share with you. Number one, as I'm sure a lot of you know right now, we're in a growing need of baby formula and diapers in this country right now. And a lot of families are not having the ability to afford enough diapers to keep a baby clean and healthy. So I'm pleased to announce that Assembly Member Cervantes is leading and championing a budget proposal, a budget allocation that would ensure California family access to diaper needs across the state of California. So right now, there are about 8 counties in the state that have diaper bank programs, like a food bank, but with diapers and helping families out with that. And so this budget allocation would be to expand that model statewide and have every county in the state of California have a public diaper bank, which includes Riverside County. Currently, we don't have a countywide diaper bank. The second thing I wanted to mention is that tomorrow evening, we are partnering with AAA to have a webinar on home insurance. And so we're going to have experts from AAA be asking community questions about their home insurance, providing information about policy coverages and limits, giving tips on how to avoid losses, etc. Registration is required and Spanish translation will be available. So if you know anybody who's interested in that, send them my way. We'd be happy to have them tomorrow night. And that's everything I have.
Hey, Brad, a question did come up, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot. Do you know if the funding source of that bill is from current surplus, or we're using it, repositioning it from some other fund?
From my understanding,
and if you don't know, if you, yeah.
From my understanding, it would come from the general fund. Often, there's a certain portion of that goes into different earmarks and everything like that. So I assume Assembly Member Cervantes is fighting to make this an earmark.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, Brad. Appreciate it. With that, Linda, Sam, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I'll give a quick update. For the last few days, we're seeing a small uptick of COVID cases in the hospital. We used to be at 0, we're up to 6 now, and one of them is in ICU on a ventilator. We're seeing a fair share of those patients are vaccinated and boosted. So if you can take your 4th shot and you're due for one, you may want to do it. But we're seeing an uptick of COVID cases, so be on the lookout, guys.
Jeff, I also
Great.
wanted to just share it's EMS week and we're celebrating all our police, fire, and ambulance workers. So, you know, if you see anyone in the community, just pat them on the back and thank them for the hard work that they do every day. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I see our mayor jumped on the call. I can't resist myself to go to him for a quick update. But before that, I saw Riverside Community College District was on the call. Did we just lose them?
No, it's Marisa is on.
Oh,
Hello, good morning.
there she is.
Just
Hi.
quick, hi, welcome everyone, or good morning, everyone. I just wanted to do a couple highlights on behalf of the Norco College and District. Friday, June 10th is our graduation in person at Norco College soccer field at 6 p.m. So we're excited that it'll be in person, and we're excited about the graduates that will be entering, either continuing on with their studies or entering into the workforce. The Military Articulation Platform Initiative is expanded. If you have not already heard, we have 54 community colleges participating in this important process of allowing our veteran students to get up to 30 credits of previous training while in the service. And so we're very excited that we now have 54, and we're going to continue to expand that statewide. The Norco College project, the Center for Human Performance and Kinesiology, is continuing its planning, and there is some continued design funds that are included in the May revise. So we're monitoring that as we continue to try to complete that project as we move along. And finally, this week we are celebrating all of our California School Employees Associated members throughout all 3 colleges and in the district, who without them, we would not be continuing to run our machines, as they say. So with that, those are the 4 highlights. If you have any questions related to what's going on, we also are monitoring closely all the legislative bills. We're encouraged by the funding that is being provided to the community colleges. But we also know that in a couple of years, we could be hurting as well. So we're being very mindful of how to spend these dollars, because at the end of the day, our students are the ones that are most in need. So thank you for your time.
Great. Thank you, Marissa. And also thank Monica she comes on our call every week. And so sometimes I'm not able to get to her, but we appreciate the participation. So.
And we're trying to tag team more and more. So
great.
Our capacity has been a little crazy, but yes.
Great. Well, Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you publicly for the state of the city at the chamber meeting last month. It was one of our well-attended events, and it was just a great meeting. So you got anything you want to share with the group?
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. It's my favorite topic is Corona, so it was easy to do, and I was happy to see lots of folks there. So I just was going to put in the chat, and maybe I think I did. There was 3 transportation bills, and I'm sorry, I don't know if you guys covered these or not, but I had another call that happened just before this one. And there's 3 bills that basically are being proposed, 2 by Friedman and 1 by Garcia, that would really limit how we spend our money in the county, including require projects funded by any state transportation funding to align with state climate goals. And no, that sounds very benign. It basically means if there are any greenhouse gas producing or greenhouse gas emissions that are going to increase because of a project, that project would not go forward, including projects that are well underway or well getting close to starting, which is very, very dangerous. And then this next one goes a little further. That's AB 2438, and then AB 22 2237 would require projects funded by local tax measures, even measures that the voters themselves have voted on, that they want these projects to proceed. This bill would prohibit county transportation commissions from funding a project or program determined to be inconsistent with the state's climate goals. Again, another hack at what we're doing, meaning that these auxiliary lanes that we're working on, the southern extension to the toll lanes going into Lake Elsinore, those projects would stop and not be able to go forward, and we would be stuck with the ridiculousness that we have on the 15. And then last would be would halt highway projects. This is AB 1778, would halt highway expansion in disadvantaged communities, which would really just impact the disadvantaged communities. And I mean, who uses our freeways in order to get to where they need to go to work, because they frequently can't live where they work because of the economic conditions. We're going to make travel even harder and more expensive on them. So RCTC is submitted opposed letters for all three, and the city, since I think these align with our stated legislative platform, we will be opposing them as well. That's it. And then we had a council meeting tonight. So if anybody would like to join, we're going to be talking about just really briefly a celebration, or at least a recognition of Michelle Wentworth. She was recognized by the state, a state organization for parks, for the work that she's doing with our parks. We're going to be doing, let's see, we have to, one of the silly things that we have to do now is we have to draft an ordinance and a policy for continued use of military equipment by the police department. This was a law that was passed last year that basically makes us every single year have to get a report from the police department saying that we have a Bearcat that is even though it's not surplus military equipment, it's just something that we use in order to protect our officers. Every single year we have to justify the use, including some flashbangs and other items that we use as to protect our officers and protect the public, that we have to waste time and money on these things. So and then a few other fun things, but if let's see, the meeting starts at 6:30, so love to see if you have any comments, please come on down. Thanks, Jeff.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. If you want to get us either the city's or RCTC's letters of opposition, we will take a look at those, and maybe we can do our own letter joining the cause.
Got it. I'll forward that right now.
Okay, great. With that, anybody have anything else? We did run a little bit over, but I think today we had a lot of informative information. Please invite a friend on the next call. So anybody have anything else before I adjourn? Once again, I want to thank today's sponsor, Megan's Organic Market, MOM. They're committed to making cannabis wholesome. The owners and employees' commitment to community development has led them to found and serve on boards of directors and volunteers at dozens of local nonprofits. You can learn more at megansorganicmarket.com. And thank you very much for your sponsorship today. With that, everybody, have a good rest of the week. We'll see you Friday. If you have any questions that you want me to ask any of the candidates on Friday, just email those to me. I put the link in the chat. And with that, meeting is adjourned.